This video is made possible by the following sponsors. Make sure to check out their products as well as the rest of my gear in the description below. Hey guys, Budget Bin Murray Walker here, and welcome back to Assetto Corsa for another video. And before we start, I have to say a massive thank you to everybody who came by to support us and of course an awesome cause on Saturday during the 12-hour charity race at Spa. Although we ourselves didn't finish, I think the final total raise was somewhere in the region of $15,000, so an absolutely awesome effort by all you guys, and of course a massive shout out as well to Nikki team for setting it all up. But today I have a bit of a treat for you guys. We are going to be driving one of the most powerful touring cars that ever raced, the Ford Sierra Cosworth RS 500. The Group A Sierra Cosworth put out in excess of 500 brake horsepower from a 2-litre turbocharged engine. This car was super successful over the course of the late 80s and early 90s, and the only car that ever came close to it was Godzilla itself, the Nissan R32 Skyline. To show you what this car is all about, I'm going to be racing the AI today on 100% difficulty and 100% aggression because BTCC, and I'm going to be racing them at the Brands Hatch GP circuit because touring cars and the Brands Hatch GP circuit, they just go hand in hand for me, and it always seems to deliver close and fun racing. And of course this car has an absolutely beautiful wang on the back of it, so what's not to like? So we find ourselves at the back of a rather large field of Ford Sierra Cosworths here. We can just see the lights set up in the top right hand corner of the screen and wait for them to go off. There they go. Hit the clutch to try and get the turbo working, and away we go then. 6 laps at Brands Hatch, pull down to the inside to avoid this traffic jam forming. Nice and easy at the start here. Coming down to Paddock Hill Bend, keeping it in third gear. You can see I've got the gear indicator on screen so you know what gear I'm in. Touch the curb on the inside, look to the left. Oh, sideways down the hill. Cold tyres and 500 horsepower will do that to you. Down to second gear for Druids, trying to touch the curb on the inside, a little bit close to the guy on the left there. Hello friend. Now downhill, going between left foot braking and right foot braking, left foot braking through here, try and get the throttle nice and early. Third gear, having to get off there to avoid running into the guy in front. Up to fourth temporarily before going back down to third. Now coming on to the back straight where we get to really stretch the legs of this Sierra now. Fourth gear and then up into top gear, which is fifth. Watch the speedo, 240 k's is about 150 miles per hour, which we nearly reach coming up to Hawthorns. The speed of this thing just keeps pulling. Of course we are running the Group A version of the mod, meaning that we're running this thing with about as much power as it ever had in race trim, but there are other versions available. Oh, car slow to the left, we're going to take a place there. Now coming up to the Sheen curve. Kind of back it in through there when you've got a bit more space, but right now I have to be a little bit more conservative to still have cars in front of me. Back down to third. Wait for the exit to get on the power. Nice now to get that turbo boost going, and there we go. Nice. You can see on the inside of the rev counter, that little red bar, that is my boost. You want to see that as high as possible most of the time, but you can see the juggling game you do through here, the skinny rear tyres here, whilst they are very nice Pirellis, they aren't really meant to deal with this amount of power. And that's one lap done and many places gained. Down to Paddock again, backing it in. Oh, I love cars like this, absolute mad lads of a car. So again, about 500 horsepower, this thing was absolutely dominant in the Group A era. And a brilliant car to watch go around, lots of sideways action. There are a few on boards that exist from this period, but of course it being in the late 80s, the cameras are not the best. These things are still raced today in classic competition, as I just about managed to avoid the car in front. He braked earlier than I thought he would. And that was okay, there's a bit of a bump there. Had to get off the throttle to avoid the car spinning out. And now back behind the Listerine mouthwash boy. Oh, there's a dragon on the side of it. Oh god, don't look at the dragon, Timmy. Look at the corner. Should be in third, but I'm in fifth. Oh, sorry, I think I went a bit wide. Bit of argy-bargy there. You're right there, Murray. Easy, easy. I just love cars. You have to absolutely manhandle them. Oh, I say that, I'll lock up. I'm not getting a good run through here. The AI a bit slower through there than I can be. Unfortunately, the Assetto Corsa AI aren't really good at cars that slide. They're like cars that have grip. So when you find yourself trying to race them in more historic cars like this, it's weird calling this car a historic car, then they just don't really know what to do, bless them. But that means you get to do fun things like skid around behind them and take the place. Thank you very much, sir. I'm into fifth again. This thing, when geared correctly, will get up to about 185 miles an hour, which is absolutely ludicrous for a touring car. Let's give you some context between this car and cars from nowadays. Nowadays the cars are turbocharged, a lot of them are front wheel drive of course, some rear wheel drive, in BTCC that is, and they'll put out about 350 horsepower or so. I think that's being about generous. Super Tourist did about 300 horsepower. This of course 500 horsepower, and that's in honest race trim. Some teams had a little switch underneath the dash that the stewards wouldn't be able to find. Give that a little flick and you find yourself with an extra 100 horsepower or so. I know the Skyline did that at Bathurst, so I'm very sure this probably did the same. And all from a 2-litre turbocharged engine. You can hear the little turbo chirps there as we get off the power of the wastegate. Oh, that's not a gear, Jimmy. That was 6th gear, which just doesn't exist in this. Sounds like I've got a bird in the bonnet. Burbs up there, bless them. Well, I just love the process of driving a car like this. You're heel and toe, you're thinking about where the boost is at all times. You're purposely getting on the power earlier than you usually would as we slide up the inside. Check the mirror to the left, there he is, full of Sierra for a second before we pull away slightly. Oh, got that wrong. Backed it into the corner, that's going to cost me a place. Revving it all the way up to the red line, all the power is right at the top of this car, as it always was in the early turbos. Oh, sliding to the outside, that's what I like, coming on to lap 5. Sorry, we're on lap 4 of 6 I think now. Yep, so we've got a couple of laps left to make up some places. We're doing pretty well so far. Oh, bit of a lock into paddock. Dance between the pedals and just about get it in there as we come back downhill and then back up to Druids. Dive up the inside, trying to touch the curb here. I had to tune the diff a little bit on this car. I was finding myself spinning one wheel every now and then, so I actually ended up locking the diff a little bit, and that helped, especially getting the car sideways and balancing it on the throttle. More attuned to the real life driving. You'd see to the inside, look to the right. Where is he? I don't really care now. I'm on the inside. I'm going to just throttle out. That was a good run there out of the left-hander. Absolutely easy. Hello, fellow Andy Rouse. I'm in Andy Rouse's car, by the way, as you probably guessed. If you can read, I'm going to give him room on the inside. I don't know if he's there or not. He is there. Wow, that's BTCC. Big biff there from the fellow Sierra. Look to the mirrors to see if there's anyone else there on the inside. I'm going to assume there isn't. Luckily there's not. Oh, bit of a tag there from behind, so maybe there was someone there. This is proper racing, this. I know people say Rubbin is racing and they pretend to be NASCAR people, but in this, Rubbin really was racing. Getting around the track as fast as possible. Never intentionally wrecked someone, but maybe you leaned on them every now and then. And these cars could take it, of course. One of the things that, whilst I am of course a massive fan of all things prototype and all things downforce, one of the things you can't do in those cars is get close to each other. In this you can, get close and personal. Hello Andy! As we go flying past him. Oh jeez! In between 3rd and 4th through there, even so in 4th gear at 100 mile an hour or so coming down paddock, the wheels are still spinning at the back. Of course you can see the speedo isn't in kph, so if you're from America or used to miles per hour, I'm sorry, but work it out. Everyone else uses kph. A couple more places to be had here, of course. Now, there is a Group A version, so not Group A, sorry, a DTM version of this car available in the mod if you want to race it against other cars than Sierras. But of course, you're racing a neutered version of the car. You're racing a car of about 350 horsepower as opposed to the glorious 500 this has. And that's just not an option for me. Getting a bit of deja vu here. Up the inside. Try and keep it to the inside. Then got the power on the apex. Guy, how did he... Oh, he just about keeps it around the outside. How did he manage that? Maybe being a little bit creative there with the track limits, but now for the first time we've got a free track coming up into Sheen. Down to 4, throw it to the inside, get the rear out on the power, nice and early, big slide, that's what I'm talking about. And then overshoot the next corner because you're having too much fun. 4th gear, and then we'll go up to 5th again. Very short gearing around this circuit. You need it with this car to keep it in the power range at all points. So we've got one more lap, it's do or die. A couple more cars to come across and hopefully overcome. Let's see what this bad boy can do. Final lap then. Easy this time on the brakes, trying to lock. Early 4th, sideways downhill, just touching the curb on the inside. Mike Chanel will tell you not to do that. Easy. Trying to get the boost working. Oh, the outside isn't a place to overtake Jimmy. Keep it in third. Chuck it in. There's a car there, but who cares? Oh, we made it. 1 place gained. Hopefully he won't come back at us. I'm going to have to go to the inside nice and early. Oh, no. Car in front very slow into the left-hander. I was trying to chuck it in. And I'm going to make it. See you later, dude. Up into 5th, so a couple more guys up ahead. I doubt I'm going to catch them. Hopefully I won't have anyone dive up the inside of me at Hawthorns. Back the car in, then on the power, nice and early. You use the rear of the car to steer this thing. All crossed up there. 5th up towards Sheen, again down to 4th. Back it in. Oh, a little bit creative, Jimmy, come on, mate. You can just see how much fun this thing is to drive right on the edge, and then we were free from the AI and managed to make a couple of places. We started last, I have no idea where we're going to finish, but if it's only these two, that'll be a 3rd place. Let's see what it is. We are going to catch these guys for the line. And we come across the line, 6 laps over, and we finish in 3rd on the podium. AI there, a little bit slow in these cars, I think, but that was a lot of fun, and this car is a lot of fun. Great mod this, very much enjoy it. I've only driven this version because I'm only really interested in the powerful version because power. But that was awesome fun, and a fun car to drive as well. Maybe not the most intense graphically on the inside, but if you can look past that, you'll have a lot of fun driving this thing. So guys, I hope very much you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure to hit that like button. And if you really enjoyed it, hit subscribe and the bell notification icon to be notified of future videos. Massive thank you to patrons and sponsors as usual. You guys are awesome. Take care, have an awesome day, and I'll see you all next time.